Hey everyone, it is day 2 at Trek Long Island 2024, and I'm here representing Big Sci-Fi Podcast, and of course, yelling about Star Trek. And right now I'm about to show you, to have an interview with an amazing artist who does just incredible work that I desperately want on my walls at home. Yeah, so thank you so much for doing this interview. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about what you do and the amazing art that you create.
So my name's Kavita Maharaj, and the company that I have is actually Retrospect Studios. I've been with Paramount now since 2018, and there's I'll make it a short story as to how I got here. But basically, I've always been a huge Trek fan. You know, as a kid growing up, of the original series, that's my first love. And growing up, my parents weren't very supportive of that, so I kind of kept it on the down low.
Right.
But when a few years ago, I kind of decided I want to do a painting of Spock because he's my favorite character, Leonard Nimoy's Spock. And then I proceeded to take 2 years looking at photos of him to try to choose an image. And after 2 years, I said to my husband, I said, I can't do it. I said, I can't choose one. There are too many facial expressions, body language, etc., that really speak to me to do this painting. And he looked at me very confused and he said, so why don't you do a whole bunch of them? And honestly, I hadn't considered doing that. So I always say he lives with regret because now I have 30-something Spock paintings. But it kind of started the process from there for me to do all of this work. And after a while, I started sharing it on social media with other Trekkies just so that they could enjoy it. And then people started asking to buy the paintings. And my answer every single time was, I'm really sorry, they're labors of love, they're not for sale. I'm really sorry, they're labors of love, they're not for sale. And then one day, a friend of Leonard Nimoy's actually contacted me wanting to buy the paintings, and I said to him, I'm really sorry, they're labors of love, they're not for sale. But then at that point in time, I kind of felt, I feel like I'm being selfish because I put it out there to share, and then at the same time I'm saying, but you can't have it. So I thought, I'm not willing to sell the originals because they were being done for me. But I thought, I'm willing to sell prints, and if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this the right way. So I contacted CBS, and much to my surprise, 12 hours later, they contacted me back, and within a month, I had a contract with them. So that started in 2018, and then from there, I expanded past Spock into, other characters from not just the TOS series. I started just with the TOS, but then it made its way into like TNG, into Voyager, into DS9, etc. So, and in terms of the gallery that we have here at Trek Long Island, I've brought a lot of my work, but this is still a fraction of my work.
Right. And so do you have a favorite painting that's on display today that you would love to talk about?
We have to go this way.
Okay, sure.
I'm running out of a burning building, and I'm only able to take one.
Right.
Okay. It's that one.
Is this one?
This one.
I love it.
Yeah, so
this one's gorgeous.
This one's the Pure Logic. It's called Pure Logic. That's my Pure Logic Spock. And what you'll notice about him is that no matter where you stand, he's going to look straight at you and straight into your soul.
When I was reading that earlier, I was trying it out. I was moving, and I'm like, I can totally see that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's amazing. So when you're doing this, what's your process? Because I don't know how to paint. I don't even know I can't even imagine what the first step is and how one goes about doing it.
Okay, well, the first step for me has nothing to do with the canvas or anything of the sort. The first step for me is to decide what character do I want to paint and why. And for me, as a person, not even just as an artist, but as a human being, I'm driven by nobility, which is why I like Spock so much, because I feel like he's a character who really strives to be noble in this world. And so for me, I think, who do I want to paint and why? And oftentimes it's going to be a question of nobility. Even if it's somebody like Khan, I have a Khan piece down the way there. And for Khan, it's like, he kind of expresses what happens when we fail at our nobility. So that doesn't mean that every character I paint is noble, but there's a conversation about nobility with that character. So I start with, who do I want to paint? The next thing I then go to is what facial expression, if it's a character, what facial expression, what scene, etc., really kind of speaks to what is important to me to express about that character. And so then, from there, I find reference images to work from, because it's important to me that the character, they actually look like themselves. And you could live with somebody day in, day out for decades, and it's still near impossible for you to draw them without looking at them or looking at a picture of them, because your mind doesn't actually take in all the details about them. And so for me, I always work from references to go, like, what does this person really look like? What expression speaks to my message? Then we get to the canvas stage. So you can see that I tend to go with this type of vertical format. And actually, Spock is the one who kind of dictated this format to begin with. It just felt like this format of the long and lean worked with that character. And I found that I really enjoyed working in this vertical format. So all of my vertical portraits maintain this format in my Star Trek series. I also do have what you call special editions, or rather not special editions, but so special editions, but they're more limited than the regular editions. And these oftentimes are horizontal, right? So there are different sizing of canvas. The original paintings for the verticals are 12 inches by 36 inches, so 1 by 3 feet. And the original paintings for the horizontals are 15 by 30 inches. So they're a slightly different, proportions, but still about the same surface area. So then what I do is I have to do a sketch on the canvas of whatever the subject matter is. Now, sometimes I'm sketching directly looking from, a photo, etc. But sometimes I have to do a mock-up. So I want to take you down to see my Doomsday.
Yeah, let's go down.
Yeah. So this image here, this is Doomsday, which I'm very happy with as well. We've got these tapes so they don't fall like this piece, but that's the pretty much the whole image there.
It is gorgeous.
Thank you. Well, this image, I wanted to create a scene that we never actually see in the episode. So this is a scene where, the Constellation they beam their people down to the planet, and the Doomsday machine comes along and is destroying the planet. So you can see the Constellation listing in the background, way back here. The planet is being destroyed, and the Enterprise is now approaching. So we don't ever actually see that scene in the episode. So when I did this one, I actually just had a little tiny sketchbook. I was in the car and I'm like, I want to do this scene. And so I did this tiny little pen sketch. And that became my reference for my tiny little pen sketch, like trying to figure out what the composition should be. But then I still wanted to get the lighting right for the Enterprise and whatnot. And so there were a couple things that I did. There's a toy company up in Canada, and they become friends of ours. They're called Cherry Bomb. And I walked in there one day, and he's like, I've got something for you. And he pulled out these tiny little miniature Star Trek ships, and he's like, here, right? He's like, you might want them for references sometimes. So one of the things I did was I held up this tiny little Enterprise, and I got my husband to shine a flashlight, and then I took a photo to go like, what would that look like? And then the other thing I did was there is a gentleman who, Mark Myers, who does a lot of models and just fantastic work. And I contacted him over Facebook and I said, hey, listen, I want to do this painting. Would you mind sending me some photos of some of your models for reference? And he said, I'm happy to do it. And he sent me a bunch. And so I had references now to work from. So this piece is one that's kind of hobbled together, I guess, from my sketches and various references to make the scene. And I'm really quite happy with it.
Yeah, that one's amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
This one I'm also like, this one's gorgeous too, because I love the ship and it's just, it's so well done.
So this one, what I did was I have a friend of mine who does he does CGI and stuff and whatnot for movies. One of the movies, for example, that he worked on was Top Gun recently. He's a big Top Gun fan. And his
Top Gun was,
and his name is Matt Bourneman. So I called Matt up and I said, Matt, he said to me, if you ever need references, help with anything, you let me know. So I said, Matt, can you help me with this? I said, I want to do this bird of prey landing, but I need a reference. And so he basically pulled up his model on the computer, pulled up his modeling, and we spent probably a good 2 hours together, him in California, me in Canada, chatting to sort out the lighting, sort out the angle and whatnot, and then he sent me a reference of just the ship. And then from there, I started to put things together, including coloration and that type of thing, to create the image that I wanted to paint. So I've been very lucky to have people who are more than happy to collaborate. They've been so generous with their times and their skills to help me to create what I want to create. So I'm always thankful for that.
That's amazing. Yeah, this is all amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you taking a minute to be interviewed and to walk us through your process.
It's my pleasure.